The masterclass is on maximizing ROI of ISO 20022 implementation, gaining strategic edge beyond compliance. I'm Dome Scafidi, a global payment industry expert, member of the Standard Advisory Panel at the Bank of England based in the UK. This masterclass has been sponsored by Yeti Consulting and ECS Fin. And starting with the topics, I'm sure that there will be interesting takeaway today. The adoption of ISO 20022 marks a giant step towards the banking industry aspiration. For instance, frictionless payments, liquidity, and of course, data. But not everyone is aware of the pitfalls that ISO 20022 migration hide and how the transition that can take financial institution and more in general payment service provider is taken to the next level. So how to improve efficiency, innovating with better and extensive use of data, gaining a competitive edge. With our panelists today, we will learn how rapidly the payment landscape is evolving. So I'd like to welcome our panelists that are leaders in the ISO 20022 migration and program. And I give you guys 1 minute to introduce yourself. I'd like to start with James, then Mohamed, and then Sam. So James, over to you.
Hi everyone, my name is James Tasker and I'm the Head of Architecture for the UK's next generation payment infrastructure program that's being run by Pay.UK. Mohamed.
Thank you, James. Mohamed.
Hi all, welcome to our webinar today. I'm Mohamed Naga, Digital Engagement Head in CIB, over 15 years of experience in payment complex transformation projects, and finally the payment revolution inside the CIB and Egypt.
Amazing. Thank you. Sam?
Hi, Domain team. Thanks for inviting me to this webinar. My name is Sam Amanor, founder CEO for Blue Space Africa Technologies. We focused on building the fintech infrastructure for public and private financial institutions, basically looking at the product segments that they build to create value for customers and all the layers involved in creating this value. So I'll be very, very happy to share some ideas in how ISO can add value and maximize the return on investment. Thank you.
Amazing. And we are happy to listen to you, of course. And so I think that we can start, and the agenda of today's webinar is has been structured in a way that there are 2 round questions. The first one is a question to the panelists based on what they are doing in the ISO implementation program. The second one will be more a conversation based on topics, of course, that are in line with the webinar. And I will try to keep 10 minutes for the queried answer that you, so the attendees can submit anytime in the Q&A chat. And of course, we will try to answer all your questions, but if there are more and we don't have enough time, I promise, and it's my commitment here, I will reply, we will reply offline. So I'd like to start with James. And I mean, James, you are responsible for something that I think that is unique in the payment ecosystem in the UK. So the strategy behind the new payment architecture for ISO 20022 implementation that now is starting to deliver. This is a program that now is running for many years. And I'd like to know from you, where are we and challenges, and if there is something that has been missed and how you fix the problem. So happy to listen to you and take your time to share with us. Please, over to you, James.
So for those of you that aren't familiar with the UK's payment landscape, Pay.UK operates the UK's interbank payment rails. So all the banks in the UK that want to send money between people's accounts, both in real time or overnight batch payment processing, Pay.UK is responsible for the operation of those systems. These systems have been operating successfully for many years now, and particularly the real-time system is due for renewal. So we are taking the opportunity of the payment module to implement ISO for that system. We have published a set of ISO 2082 standards for the real-time payments, and we've consulted broadly with the UK industry on these. We've had about 18 months of feedback and review, and if people would like to see these standards, they are publicly available. If people do want to see them, if they can contact Manish or Dame, I'm happy to send links, etc. after the webinar. We have defined both the message standards and the connectivity for connecting to the next generation payment infrastructure in the UK. We are ready to proceed, but at the moment the UK is running a consultation to define a national payments vision. So we're waiting to see what that comes up with, and then we'll make sure that the next gen infrastructure satisfies that vision. So we're expecting that to complete in the second half of this year, and then we'll be able to proceed at that point. In terms of things that are missing, I think no big implementation is ever 100% complete, but there's a sort of couple of areas that I think we want to look at. Within the UK, there is another payment system that is operated by the Bank of England, which is a clearinghouse payment system, CHAPS. They also have an ISO implementation that they've successfully rolled out, and we're sort of benefiting from the experience of doing that. Although both those implementations are based on ISO, there are some small divergences between that standard. So over the coming months, I would like to make sure that these things are aligned, and then we should be able to offer substitutability across the UK's payment systems. And then the only other thing I think that I personally would like to address in the ISO space is the UK has had a successful adoption of open banking in the UK, and they use a set of RESTful APIs. There's a disconnect between the ISO XSD format and more sort of JSON-based APIs. So I think that's something that we want to work with industry within the UK to sort of establish how we can support both those paradigms. Probably a lot more words than you wanted there, Dommy, but there you go.
Yeah, thank you, James. I think that is very important sharing the experience, because in the end, all payment ecosystems are moving more or less at the same pace, considering ISO 20022 is a global implementation. And we heard the institutional side, so PayUK, Bank of England, and you mentioned the industry, and I would say financial institutions, and it would be great to hear from Mohamed the program and the implementation project, but mainly the opportunity that you guys are identifying and are building, apart from the huge number of transactions that you run every day. But of course, I know that there is a project that is already in place to improve the experience of your clients, corporates, I mean, retails, merchant, and private citizen. So Mohamed, literally, we would like to hear from you as a leader in Middle East and in Africa, of course. Thank you.
So the financial world is on the crossover of significant transformation with the implementation of ISO 20022. So the new messaging standards designed to streamline the standardized financial communication promises to transform the way corporate businesses operate and experience banking services. So the implementation of ISO signifies a model shift in corporate banking. As I'm leading the corporate banking and the products, so it presents a unique opportunity for the businesses to streamline operation, enhance efficiency, and gain a competitive edge. So by embracing these new standards, so the corporate can unlock the future of reduced costs. So by streamline the processes and the fewer errors translate to significant cost saving, improve the decision making. Clearer transaction data empowers the financial decision making, enhancing the risk management through the automation by minimizing the errors and the fraud, strengthening the risk management practices, and the greater efficiency through also the automation, the streamline for workflows and free up resources for more strategic tasks. By using some tools like the robotic automation processes or AI or OCR, so it will be easier to make some automation initiatives and to streamline the workflows. So if we will have a closer look to how the ISO 20022 is supposed to improve the corporate businesses, so it will say goodbye for the work and hello for efficiency. Yeah. So it traditionally is a financial communication between banks and corporates often relies on message formats riddled with inconsistencies and complexities. You know, the MT now we have unstructured data. We are facing many issues during the automation, during the integration, during the handling the MT messages. So this requires manual intervention for data entry and understanding the process likely to errors and delays. So the ISO disrupts this by introducing a structured and reliable format. Data is clearly defined and tagged, eliminating the need for manual explanation. So I don't need to for the client to give him more explanation and give them and to be expert to know how to read the MT. So it will be more easier for reading the ISO, reducing the risk like what I said. So this translates the faster processing times, improves the operational efficiency, and ultimately cost saving for the businesses. Also, the enhanced transparency, it will offer a significant benefit. The corporate will receive clearer and more comprehensive information about their financial transactions. So like the invoice details, beneficiary information, purpose of payments are all clearly defined within the message. So providing businesses with greater visibility and control over their financial activities, it will be very awesome. Especially they are suffering now from minimum data they are receiving now in the MTE and unstructured, especially they are combined in the same field in some cases because of the limitations that MT is offering now. So let's talk about risk also. So I mentioned the risk in my beginning. So the interpretation are refinement grounds for errors and fraud. So the ISO eliminates this vulnerability by automating data exchange. So since the data is predefined and validated within the message format, the risk of errors and fraud associated with manual processing is significantly reduced. This translates more a robust risk management environment for corporate businesses. And finally, I will talk about the seamless integration, which it's nightmare for many of our large corporates especially. They are aiming to have a ERP integration directly. So it's another advantage of ISO in ability to facilitate easier integration with the corporate treasury systems. Yeah. Nowadays, we have a new terminology called modern treasury. So every treasurer in any corporate now, they are looking for upgrading their RTMS treasury management system, and they are looking for integrating with their banks and unify the banks instead of using or dealing with different banks. So the ISO and the standards format allows for seamless data exchange between the bank systems and corporate financial software. This eliminates the need for complex data mapping and reconciliation processes, paving the way for a smoother and more automated workflow for the corporate treasury teams. The transition might require initial adjustment, but the long-term benefits for the corporate businesses are undeniable. By embracing this in standard corporates can position themselves for a future of efficiency, transparency, and a superior banking experience.
Yeah, Mohamed, thank you so much for sharing. I mean, the program that is not just the technology, like you said, but is understanding the needs of your clients and the industry. So, like we said before, improve the experience. And also to James' point, so the NPA is working with all the industry, so trying to understand, but we will talk a bit more later to understand more the need of every client segmentation. And so we heard the institution, we heard and again, thank you, Mohamed, for the financial institution, but there is another angle that I would like to explore with Sam right now. So Sam, you know, I mean, we know how important is the job that Blue Space is doing in the region for a long time now, supporting your clients and of course PSP in general. And so my question is, thinking about the G20 directive in terms of cross-border payments and the need to have interoperability on top of the new standard that is ISO 20022, thinking about all issues coming from the different financial system and institution, and how difficult it is for financial institution to guarantee the reachability to their client. So how Blue Space is positioned and is helping financial institution, but also trying to understand the ratio between investment and profitability, that I think that is in line with what we would like to discuss today in the masterclass. So over to you, Sam. Thank you.
Thank you, Dome. This is actually a very good question. We've seen the buzz around intra-Africa trade. We've seen the buzz of dollar denomination, if you will. A lot of African countries are looking inward to grow the trade flows and the payment flows between countries. Because today, if you look at the ratio, the trade cost within Africa had to go through a very long cycle through large correspondent banking networks before settlements happened. And the emergence of ISO has been great. One of the predominant settlement providers in Africa now, which is emerging, is PAPS, the Pan-Africa Payments and Settlement System, started from the grassroots, adopting ISO as a standard. What it means then is the ratio between intra-Africa trade and the ratio between Africa and the rest of the world, the international trade, will have to be reconciled. Today, all the correspondent banking networks are going to pressure African banks in the different countries to adopt this standard because it's a global compliance issue, like you said, and like Mohammed also said, and James said, every continent, every region is trying to adopt this global standard because of the benefits, a common language, common standardization, rich data that can be gleaned to do other things, risk mitigation. So if Africa were to look at their own revenue sources from the international borders, international trade corridors, then there would have to be a need to accelerate the adoption of this ISO standard. Then there are a few questions, right? What is the capacity of the central banks to adopt? Because some of them, the framework is that you have to either upgrade your core banking systems. We've had meetings with clients who are looking at Flex Cube upgrades. We've had meetings with banks who are looking at Terminus upgrades. The idea is that by upgrading the system, the core system, there will be interoperability with the standard with global players. But you and I know that it takes a while to upgrade core banking platforms and treasury platforms. We actually about finishing a treasury management implementation for one of the banks in Ghana, and ISO is a topic, right? It's a huge, huge topic because the point of interoperability is that if you don't upgrade, if you don't comply, you're going to lose revenue. So that the ROI is really hinged on compliance and speed. So there are four barriers that would hinder that speed. We're looking at the talent, the capacity around how do you start, come up with a strategy? Is it a national strategy or is it a regional bank strategy? If you're a bank that has multiple, regions, like the likes of EcoBank or GT or Zenith Bank or CIB, is it a regional strategy you adopt or you follow the national strategy? Either consideration would impact your ROI because it's going to be impacting your speed. The second one is availability of tools, because this has to do with a lot of data mapping and risk mitigation and translation, MT, ISO to MT, MT to MX, JSON formats and XML formats. There's a need to strategize well to increase the speed, and any delay in the process could impact the bottom line, right? Because you're losing FX rates are changing daily, trade flows are changing daily. So you really have to look at speed and the strategy you adopt to accelerate this migration. The third one has to do with risk mitigation. So any error measure, any errors and gaps in this migration could open up doors, because you're dealing with APIs. You're dealing with API security will be a point that you have to look at. We're actually talking to a few banks now on API security in the process of ring fencing their ISO migration, right? Because you're opening up so many systems. Their FlexCube was up for upgrade to the latest version. They want to go to release 18. They're running 12.x. And basically, the challenge is, should we upgrade the core banking and do all the mumbo jumbo adaptations with the RMA files to align with ISO messaging, or should we put a converter in the middle of this infrastructure so that all the other core systems, treasury, trade finance, and their payment systems could be adapted to it? Now, that decision required vendors to be at the table. It required the core stakeholders, treasury managers and payments or e-banking guys to be at the table to ensure that everybody arrives at this decision. What we found was the conversation was with the IT team, but the business team didn't see the impact of this ISO standard and what it connects to. So there's a challenge in the stakeholder alignment within the context that we're in. So one, the challenge is there's no common programming, and two, if banks are trying to do this on their own, the stakeholders are not quite aligned, and the implications of this is not clear how this impacts liquidity. So that's a challenge in itself. So these are all like soft challenges or business challenges. Now let me flip to the technical challenges. Okay, as you know, the middleware and service buses and API management tools, or the credibility of these platforms are not really well, pervasive in our banking sectors. The core banking providers are giving tools for the banks to basically leverage, or there are third-party tools that are coming on board. Obviously, you have to go through the RFPs and the like to adopt a middleware to help in this standardization effort. So there's a challenge there as well in what path to take in actually helping with the translation and the migration to the ISO side. So those are the two challenges we've seen on the business side and on the technical side.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Sam. And Mohamed, if we talk, we move slightly to, learning the actionable strategies, building or designing a robust, effective roadmap, tailor around the institution's need, considering your role and the CIB role in the region. How do you see, CIB and of course the project that you are undergoing?
Thanks, Dom. So in today's dynamic environment, crafting a robust and effective strategic roadmap is no longer optional. So it's essential for survival and growth, but how do you navigate the process and translate the good intention into actionable steps tailored to your institution specific needs? It's one fit all, but it's according to the institution needs and how they are visioning, and they have their vision in towards the payment and the payment transformation landscape. So I will not give you the secret recipe and the secret sauce, but I will support the attendees for forge their own strategic roadmap with what we did and what we are for. So First of all, it's empowers the collaborative clarity. So vision, mission, revision, it's crucial. Start by revisiting your institution core purpose. What is your vision for the future? What is the mission drives your daily operations? Aligning your strategic roadmap for these fundamental pillars ensures a clear direction. The second thing is stakeholder symphony. So if we not gather the key stakeholders from various departments, we will end up with misalignment, which eliminate our opportunities. So their diverse perspective will eliminate the opportunities, the challenges, areas for the improvement. Their collaborative approach fosters buy-in and ownership, very crucial for successful implementation. So the second pillar is the situational awareness. So the SWOT analysis, which give us how we, where, and conduct the strengths, weaknesses, what is the opportunities, what is the threats. If we didn't comply and adapt the ISO migration, this exercise unveils your institutions' internal strengths and weaknesses while identifying the external opportunities and the threats that may be impact your journey. This will reflect on your competitive landscape scan. So research your competitors to understand their strategies, strengths, and weaknesses. The knowledge allows you to identify areas for differentiation and capitalize on emerging trends. The third pillar is prioritization. It's maybe for me, the prioritization is the keyword. So, and it will be a strategic goal defined based on your SWOT analysis and the competitive landscape scan. So it will give you the defined, clear, measurable, and actionable strategic goals. And after that, you will equip yourself with a prioritization based on the framework according to every institution. Maybe I prioritize for the client first, maybe for my operation, according to every vision. So it will be aligned with your vision mission. So after that, the fourth pillar is the actionable transformation. Break down the big picture. So matrices that matter, and after that, resource allocation. So it's very crucial. It's a communication and the collaboration. So I need to communicate the plan with all stakeholders, clearly communicate the strategic roadmap. It's will not one-time communication. It's always communicate with the team, embrace the ongoing collaboration for is regularly review the progress, analyze the performance. And the last two things for me, it's very crucial. It's the training and the preparing the needed talent inside the organization and the client education. Existing resources will need up to speed with the complexity of implementation requirements across many jurisdictions. Maybe for us, we started to train around 150 employees for the ISO on a separate tracks, to ensure that all is aligned and know exactly what is the ISO will give us the benefits and how we can to be ready. Yeah. For the client education, we started to tell the customer what is the ISO, give them some videos, maybe some education materials about what is the ISO and what it will be the benefits for the corporate. So it will providing more information with the new standards. Banks should take time to educate their clients about ISO 222 and stress the importance of accurate information for straight-through processing. Additionally, banks should emphasize all the benefits of ISO, such as the richer data formats that will create new benefits for the customer, like better visibility into payment details and improve fraud detection to minimize potential change. By following these actionable strategies, you can effortlessly forge a robust and effective strategic roadmap that propels your institution towards a brighter, more successful future. So maybe we need to remember a strategic roadmap is living document. It's not a static one. So embrace flexibility and the continuous improvement for a journey, and is both strategic and successful.
Yeah, thank you, Mohamed. Very very useful, I mean, insight from what you're doing in your program. James, anything that you wanted to add at this point, thinking about the way Pay UK is taking care about institutions' need?
I think so. I think it's broadly a build on everything that Mohammed has just said. I mean, I would completely echo making sure that the business and the technology side of your organizations are aligned. I think customer engagement is really, really important. And what we have discovered is that because the ISO standards are so rich and provide such opportunities, it's really critical that you make sure you're solving real customer needs and problems rather than designing for the art of the possible. In as well as the technical standards, I think we have also taken the opportunity that where new products or new operational or payment operation changes are required, we've also articulated those and made sure that customers are comfortable and understand those. Because I think as we're adopting new products, there's new operating models, there's new SLAs, there's new sort of exception processes that might be generated. So it's not just about the standards. That there's, we need to see it in the product round and make sure that the other things are addressed and communicated with customers as well.
The next topic is in the African banking innovation. So, and we talk about the CIB and everything you are doing to be sure that you are missing nothing. So, gaining inspiration from leading banks like we said, CIB, can you share with us a couple of stories of showcasing and how you strategically get benefits from the ISO 20022 implementation? Literally in 2 minutes, so then we can also ask some the way they are supporting. But it would be great if you could share some showcasing, because I know that you are spending a lot of time on this. Thank you.
Thank you, Dom. So I will focus and emphasize in my call now for the recent scheme that using the ISO now. It's the Instant Payment Network, which it's called IPN. It's a national network linking all operating banks inside Arab Republic of Egypt that has launched in March 2022. IPN is a considerable milestone of one of the most important technological achievements inside the country, has yet witnessed that has positively impacted the country's infrastructure, supporting the fintech companies. So at the core of the IPN lies advanced interoperability systems linking all banks through digital infrastructure, enabling integration with fintech companies and paving the road for opportunities and innovative services serving the entire population. So briefly, IPN has allowed bank customers to manage their bank accounts and finalize transfers with any bank through one application called InstaPay, and complete the real-time instant financial transaction on weekdays and during the official holidays. So the IPN Instant Payment Network that allows the user to transfer funds to anyone with a phone number or an email address. So they can use InstaPay, which is the name of the application, to pay bills, shop online, split expenses with friends, and more. So IPN connects banks, mobile operators, and merchants to provide seamless and interoperable payment solutions. So the users, they can enjoy the benefits of IPN without opening a bank account or downloading an app. So all they need is phone number and or email address to start using InstaPay. So to give you some clarity about the numbers, the Central Bank of Egypt said that the national system of real-time payments witnessed a significant increase in the volume of transaction in the first year, carried out through it reaching 404 million transactions,
Wow.
with value 815 billion pounds in 2023 through InstaPay application and the bank's electronic channels, while the number service user reached more than 6.5 million customers in 1 year. So we are looking for significant shifting in our industry and our country.
Yeah.
And we are expecting that the numbers will grow by 40% this year. So I consider IBN it's one of the very successful implementation of ISO standards, which eliminate the implementation timelines to implement all Egyptian banks in just 6 months. So this will be considered as a revolution here in Egypt.
Thank you so much for sharing this.
Okay.
It's amazing. Sam, really, I pray you in 2 minutes, but I think that is important. I hear your perspective on this because it's very crucial according to what you are doing, guys.
Excellent, excellent. So I think, Mohammed, Egypt has done a great job, and I know Pay UK is also doing some really amazing things. Ghana actually had already developed its Ghana Instant Pay by the National Clearinghouse, which is GIPS, and they've done a good job in fostering interoperability between mobile money wallets and the bank account system. So that's the foundation's been laid. Having said that, the migration to ISO is still relevant for our cross-border payments ecosystem, which is something that needs to beef up. I think there are 3 key things I want to point out. That ISO is a change management effort, right? So the banks and the central banks and the central security depositories and the like would have to adopt a change management office for this. Second, it's also a data issue. It's a data management issue. So there's a need to have a proper data governance framework in place. There are a lot of tools that can help with that. And then lastly, I think it's a revenue issue. I have something called the Magic 4. The Magic 4 talks about the payment processing, talks about trade finance, it talks about FX, and then lastly, it talks about treasury. Now, if you could attack these 4 magic areas, revenue hedging and trying to prevent loss of missed opportunity could be helped. So in terms of creating a program office, making sure change management is there and prioritization, and making sure that these revenue areas are blocked and looked at as priority segments, I think could help this whole ISO adoption properly for banks and central banks and other large correspondent banking partners. So that's the bit I can add. And obviously, fintechs will still need to collaborate with traditional banks to make this beautiful story happen. So Mohammed said something, we need a symphony. And I think that's what we really would drive this adoption successfully. Thank you.
Yeah, I love the idea. And guys, thank you so much. And I can't agree more. We have time for just one question that I need to use my glasses, and then I'd like your final thought. There is a question from one of the attendees that is saying most mid-tier banks tend to embrace minimum compliance to avoid driving up costs and are hesitant to migrate to the latest ISO standards. What are the repercussions of not being compliant with ISO 20022? I mean, I don't know if you wanted to take the question literally in 1 minute because we are running out of time. If someone wants to share thought, yeah.
My only thoughts with that is that makes perfect sense in the short term, but from my point as part of the central infrastructure, if changes are required, you're storing up potentially a big investment for the future. So it's fine to do it, but just do it with your eyes open, I think.
Yeah, I can't agree you more. And many times the history of the is a cycle of payments. We saw that doing the minimum requirements is not enough, and especially now that you guys talk about benefits and revenues and thinking about how to support more the client experience. So there is something that needs to be done in a different way and in an advanced way, taking benefits from the new standard. One final statement from each of you, literally 30 seconds, is a takeaway for the attendees.
I think ISO brings fantastic opportunities. The thing we are seeing is different implementations are subtly different, so I would like to see a broader coordination of getting these standards more aligned as we go into the future.
Yeah, thank you. Sam?
Thank you, Dom. I think the opportunity is very, very vast. The richness of ISO and the data quality basically provides the input for the future trend, which everybody's talking about, which is AI. With the richness of ISO data, I think AI could be applied in the future and take advantage of transformative ways of seeing cross-border payments and harnessing that data set differently. Whereas previously, the rich data, obviously, when you look at the empty messages, it's quite basic, right?
Yeah.
But ISO sort of presents us a much more deeper insight, and also clarity and reconciliation could be now enhanced a bit more, and AI could play a huge role there. And it's something that hopefully we could, within our cloud, we could start piloting for banks. We're available to help with any kind of assistance needed. Thank you.
Thank you. Mohamed, 30 seconds, last thought.
I will not add more than what we said because we covered most of the implementation, but I will emphasize on the three things. So how we be the alignment of the strategy and what is our strategy and inside the strategy we know exactly our strengths and weaknesses and what gaps that we need to fill. The second thing, the people, and people and then people, because the people is the crucial for the successful implementation. So I am always emphasize on and focus on the people aspect and for the learning. The third thing that how we will educate the client and give the customer the flavor of using the ISO and how we can increase our digital transactions by using and relying on the ISO and their implementation, not just the ISO. The ISO is the key, but we need for sure build the needed products around the ISO and how we can give our customer what they need, not just what is on the shelf, but what they need is a crucial.
That's amazing. Yeah, and I can't agree more with you. So we are now approaching the end of the webinar. First of all, I'd like to say thank you to the panelists that they took time to their daily work to join and share with us their experience. And so thank you really for sharing your experience. And thank you to the huge number of the attendees. That really is more than our expectation. I hope that we met your expectation. And what to say? This one has been an experience, but please stay tuned because we are coming soon with something similar in other payment ecosystem, other regions. So follow us. Again, thank you to ECS, Fin, and Yeti Consulting for arranging this webinar and make it happen. So there is nothing else to say from me, just bye for now. And wherever you are, enjoy the rest of the day or the afternoon or the evening, and all the best to all of you. And peace, first of all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. 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 Bye.
Bye.
Bye.